Next is women's.
Yes. So we had Bayley, no last name, right? Just Bayley?
It's just Bayley.
Just Bayley against...
Nobody wants her. Nobody wants to claim her family-wise. But, she's got a family.
Are you saying that she used to have a family, but they bailed on her?
I think they bailed on her. But now she's going to hug you.
It's Bayley.
And claim her.
Bail.
Yeah, I got it.
Maybe she went on a farm and had to move the hay around.
That's very funny.
Wow. Just wow. Versus Charlotte. Charlotte Flair.
Who, I said during the match she has sort of like a hot Ann Culture thing going on. And I don't know, A, if that's how you pronounce her name, and B, if that's accurate. So send email, especially hate mail, to Aaron about that.
Wow. Wow, please do. Send me all your hate.
Well, because it's like her without the Adam's apple. And, it's... It's true, she has an Adam's.
Oh, God.
It's unreasonable. And I mean, I don't know if she just like had it implanted there so Republicans would take her seriously, or what
It's
the deal
quite
is.
possible.
But,
We're making our camera woman cry.
Yeah.
This is fantastic.
At some point, we were going to talk about wrestling, though.
Yeah.
So
this match, the storyline here is when Charlotte first came in, she was actually a face, and she turned in a tag match where she was with Bayley. So, match sort of starts, and Charlotte immediately turns on Bayley and joins the BFFs, and ends up leading the BFFs, and Bayley just gets kicked to the curb. So Bayley has been like low-rung, jobbing to everybody forever kind of thing, and then they held a tournament to determine who would fight Charlotte, and Bayley won that tournament. So it was this big winning, happy moment for Bayley, whose gimmick is essentially that of what was the guy's name? Eric Bischoff's pretend nephew.
Johnny Nitro?
Not Johnny Nitro.
Mick
Eugene.
Foley. Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. Bayley is effectively a much more active and not... She's playing a similar gimmick. Like not...
No, she isn't. Do you remember Eugene?
I do.
He had his shirt on backwards, and he got paint on it once, and it stayed forever, and he would walk around and wave to people.
Bayley actually does that when she comes out to the ring.
But when
like
she
she's
does
got
it,
the big dancing thing. But
yeah,
it's cute.
She dances with the wacky waving inflatable flailing R2 band, and that's nice.
Yeah.
But it's not like, oh,
She's
did you take the short bus to the arena today?
It kind of is the impression I get from how the announce team sort of moves around her, and it's a much more respect-laden thing than was done with Eugene, which is not hard to do.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say Bayley's necessarily bright. She's quirky. You know what it reminds me of? Because
What?
she has the ponytail on the side,
Yeah.
it's like the love interest in Napoleon Dynamite. That sort of, like, not bright, but just good people. Whereas
I stand
Eugene
by my
was
statement.
straight up, he had something going on there.
He didn't have anything going on there.
It
That
rhymes
was...
with Brown syndrome.
God. Regardless, Bayley is adorable.
Yes.
Bayley is going to hug you. I like that quite a lot of her offense is actually based around starting from a hug.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah, so she does like the bear hug charge. She does like her finisher is the belly to Bayley suplex, which is just a belly to belly, but like Magnum TA style, where it just looks like she's trying to kill people. Okay, so back during the Ascension match, I mentioned that we were going to get to talking about Charlotte and repetition. Charlotte tends to rely on a few key moves when she doesn't know what to go to, and she'll sometimes end up using the same thing repetitively, and it shows. When her match with Natalya at the last Takeover didn't come up because Natalya. I'm guessing Natalya took a large hand in directing that match, or at least keeping stuff from spots from being repeated. This match, not so much. And the match didn't drag because of it, but it wasn't as good as we've come to expect, particularly from the NXT Divas division.
Yeah, there was a figure four headlock that showed up for at least 2 long extended sequences where, they try to break it, reapply, try and break, reapply. And regular figure 4 showed up 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
She does the chops all the time as well, which I don't really mind.
No, the chops you can just keep doing
transition.
because whatever. But like the figure 4 headlock into like the head stomp thing,
Yeah.
where she sort of flips over, like that came up like 2 or 3 times. And you can get away with that if you can hide it and make it not so noticeable, and Charlotte can't yet. It's one thing if you're doing it like Conor O'Brien, where you're actually actively engaging the crowd in your repetition and making the crowd actually ask for it. But in this case, it's just like, do you know anything else?
And it makes a lot more sense for your big brute, right? Because character-wise, that's the sort of guy that can get away with not knowing anything, because it's like the guy who doesn't
Ultimate
know...
Warrior.
Well, Ultimate Warrior, I was going to say the guy who's, playing Street Fighter for the first time, and just figures, if I hold low and hit the hardest button, it'll do this big uppercut, and the other guy doesn't know how to block it. So I'm just going to keep doing that until he learns how to block it, and I've won.
Yeah.
And that's basically what the Ascension likes to do. They just spam the one cheap move.
Well, Connor does that. The other guy is a little bit more active in his moveset.
Fair enough. Well, just Connor then. But he'll just rock the one move, whereas the character of Charlotte, much like Rick, is one of finesse and knowing... Maybe not a ton of moves, but being able to do moves very well.
Yeah, the psychology of it. Like, this move is being done at this time for this specific reason. So Charlotte is about overplaying, because she's got the physique of somebody, and she's got the height to make it look like she could just bludgeon her way through it. But that's not her character at all. That character would be more like Paige, and Paige doesn't repeat anything from one match to the next. Like, within the context of a match, Paige never goes to the same move twice.
No. I mean, you generally don't see that at the higher levels. I mean, unless you somehow, were bad in a former life and you have to watch a 30-minute Great Khali match or something. But beyond
Great Khali
that...
Iron Man match with Randy Orton.
Cure for insomnia.
Believe me, there is no cure.
Have you tried paying close attention to Great Khali match after Great Khali match?
All it does is make me very, very angry and very, very worried. Seriously, the
that's
dude...
almost as good as sleep.
The dude, moves like steel girders. Like, just fragile steel girders.
I don't believe that he has legs. Because he has those really baggy pants. I wouldn't be surprised if you pull it up and it's just like Victorian clockwork in there. And just pulleys and wires... and just bullshit and cobwebs.
I could believe that. This match was actually quite good.
Yeah, I would agree that it's not as good as the Natalya match.
No.
But...
nowhere near.
A solid 3.5-star match.
The interesting thing is we've actually seen, over the course of the build-up to this match, we got a lot of Bayley, Sasha Banks. And those matches were fantastic. Sasha Banks I used to actually not be particularly fond of, but she's come such a long way in the past year and a half. Like, her time with the BFFs not only gave her a much stronger character, but a much stronger moveset, a much stronger psychology, and just an incredible ability to tell a story within the context of a fight. And Bayley has sort of gone through that same transition. The thing that I loved towards the end of it, when they were both just sort of down and doing the stare back and forth. Like, that was like an awesome, tense little moment that didn't feel like it had actually been built to properly.
Yeah, I mean, the match, despite being a good match, never hit that emotional high.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's because of the people involved in it, if they can't get that through, or if it didn't have enough time to simmer, or what was going on, but
well, it
never hit top gear.
The thing is, heels control a wrestling match. We were talking about this over the course of Takeover as well. Amanda not being a wrestling fan and having some basic questions. And heels control the match because you want the heel to lose. So the heel has to have an interesting offense to keep the match going. The heel is going to be the one that dictates the pace and flow. And Charlotte's not quite there yet. to have great matches. She can have really, really good ones, and give it like another. By the time the next takeover comes around, Charlotte is going to be an absolute master. Because when she started, she was shit. And now she's really, really good. Like, she totally deserves to hold the belt, and she's fantastic, and I can't wait to see her on the main roster, provided they can book her properly. But we need to see a little bit more. What was interesting for me at the end, though, was the turn. With Sasha Banks coming down.
Well, explain to the people what happens in the turn.
Okay. So, after the match is over, Charlotte's parading around with the belt, and Bayley is not really moving because she's just gotten her ass kicked. And Sasha Banks, Charlotte's former tag team partner, sort of brushes past Charlotte and sort of claps at her, and then walks into the ring and gets in Bayley's face. And Bayley has fluked wins over Sasha on a consistent level, where it doesn't look so much like a fluke anymore. It just looks like Bayley is outsmarting Sasha, which, given Short Bus, is kind of insulting to Sasha, who calls herself the boss. So Sasha starts pounding the crap out of Bayley, and Charlotte comes back in, tosses Sasha aside, and you get the stare down between the two of them. So now we have, I guess, tweener Charlotte, face Bayley, and heel Sasha. But I'm thinking about the rest of the divas on the NXT roster, and admittedly, the one that comes immediately to mind is Becky Lynch, who I don't know if you've seen.
I haven't know.
Oh God, she's incredible, and at the moment is being booked as a face. So I'm kind of wondering where they're going to go story-wise, because you can totally see continuing Sasha Bayley feud with maybe Charlotte in the middle, but I'm wondering how Becky is going to fit into that.
Well, I mean, if we're going to be having a tweener champion, you can reasonably have fights against either face or heel. The character's probably going to have a bit of a change, and a smart call might be to do the fighting champion gimmick. Mm-hmm. Takes on all comers, and then whatever churning happens underneath the title scene in a division that thin, doesn't really matter too much because you just pair, any two together.
You can always call in divas from the main roster, which they frequently do.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and we've also got Alyssa Bliss, who is this weird pixie cheerleader girl thing, who I'm not totally sold on at all. Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll see what happens with that in coming weeks.
Yeah.